afternoon. My name is Dan Scripps, Chair of the Michigan Public Service Commission, and I call this meeting of the Commission to order on October 27, 2022 at 1:35 p.m. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Chair Scripps.
Present.
Commissioner Phillips.
Present.
Commissioner Peretick. Present. Mr. Chair, you have a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Today's meeting is being held in person at the Commission's office at 7109 West Saginaw Highway in Lansing. We are also hosting this meeting remotely using Microsoft Live Event. It is compatible with all browsers except Safari. Telephone relay service is available through the phone option. If you are participating via the live stream, you may also turn on the live captions by clicking on the closed caption or CC button in the lower right corner of the screen. As indicated in the notice for today's meeting, if we lose the remote connection, the Commission will not recess but will continue in person. The meeting will be recorded and available for future reference on the Commission's website. In addition, the Commissioners can receive comment via mpsc_commissioners@michigan.gov. For reference, this email is also included in the Q&A feature on the live stream event on your computer and in the meeting notice. We'll have an opportunity for the public to make comment as provided in the agenda. A few notes about this. Comments should be limited to one per person and can be made verbally in person or by calling in or in writing via the live stream Q&A feature. If you are participating via Teams application, you can use the Q&A feature and type your comments in the box anytime during our meeting, and we'll have those queued up to read. The Q&A function should be used to submit public comments directed to the Commission. If you would like to make verbal comments, you must do so either in person or by calling into the meeting by phone. And to minimize disruptions, attendees participating by phone will be muted until we reach the time for public comment. The first order of business is approval of the agenda for today's meeting.
Thank you, Chair. I move for the approval of the agenda for today's Commission meeting.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion? We will now have a vote on the motion to approve today's agenda. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by unanimous vote. The agenda is approved. The next item of business on the agenda is approval of the minutes from the October 5th, 2022 Commission meeting.
I move for the approval of the minutes from the October 5th, 2022 Commission meeting.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion? We will now have a vote on the motion to approve the minutes from the October 5th, 2022 Commission meeting. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by unanimous vote. The Commission meeting minutes of October 5th, 2022 are approved. The next item of business on the agenda is the approval of orders on the consent agenda, and today the Commission is assisted by Staff Attorney Lisa Gold. I recognize Ms. Gold.
Good afternoon. Today's consent agenda consists of 5 communications matters and 1 electric matter. The proposed orders and minute actions for these matters have been thoroughly vetted by the Commission's technical and legal staff and are ready for your approval.
Thank you, Ms. Gold. I move for the approval of the orders and minute actions on the consent agenda.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion? We will now have a vote on the motion to approve the orders and minute actions on the consent agenda. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by unanimous vote. The orders and minute actions on the consent agenda are approved. I recognize Ms. Gold.
Item 4A1 is case number U-18461, which involves a matter on the Commission's own motion directing the Commission staff to create a red line version of the Integrated Resource Plan filing requirements for review by the Commission and stakeholders as part of Advanced Planning Phase 3 of the MyPowerGrid Integration of Resource and Transmission and Distribution Planning Workgroup. Item 4A6 on the agenda is case number U-21219, which involves a matter on the Commission's own motion to commence a proceeding pursuant to Section 6T, subsection 1 of Public Act 341 of 2016 for the purpose of updating the Michigan Integrated Resource Planning parameters. Staff member John DeCooman will describe both orders.
Good afternoon, Chair Scripps and Commissioners Phillips and Peretick. My name is John DeCooman, and I'm a Public Utilities Engineer in the Resource Optimization and Certification section in the Energy Resources Division. The orders before you are case numbers U-18461 and U-21219. Case number U-18461 is regarding the Commission's own motion to request comments on updated IRP filing requirements. Case number U-21219 is regarding the Commission's own motion to provide notice of 2 public hearings and opportunity to file comments on the updated draft Michigan Integrated Resource Planning Parameters, or MIRPP, pursuant to Section 6T of Public Act 341 of 2016. Section 6T of Public Act 341 directs the Commission to update the MIRPP, conduct updated demand response and energy waste reduction potential studies, and hold at least 2 public hearings every 5 years after its initial approval. On December 21st, 2016, Public Act 341 was signed into law, which amended Public Act 3 of 1939 and became effective on April 20th, 2017. The law requires the Michigan Public Service Commission, with input from the Department of Environment, Great Lakes and Energy, and other interested parties, to set modeling parameters and assumptions for utilities to use in filing integrated resource plans. At the conclusion of a stakeholder process and issuance of a draft MIRPP, the Commission adopted the MIRPP on November 21st, 2017 in case number U-18418. The IRP filing requirements followed a similar process and were approved by the Commission on December 20th, 2017 in case number U-18461. On October 29th, 2020, the Commission issued an order in case number U-20633 directing staff to work with stakeholder groups to determine how to update IRP planning parameters to align IRP modeling with the greenhouse gas emissions targets set by Governor Whitmer. Pursuant to Public Act 341, the MPSC began a second collaborative process to update the MIRPP and filing requirements as part of My Power Grid Phase 3 on December 16, 2021, with participation from the Department of Environment, Great Lakes and Energy, and a wide range of stakeholders. Staff held 7 stakeholder sessions to discuss updates to the MIRPP and filing requirements, taking place from December 2021 to April 2022. Stakeholders were invited to participate by providing comments and feedback during and after every stakeholder session. Staff and stakeholders also considered information gained through the Phase 2 stakeholder process that was conducted from October 2020 through September 2021. The Commission staff filed a draft of the MIRPP on June 30th, 2022 in case number U-21219 and a draft of the Integrated Resource Plan filing requirements on June 30th, 2022 in case number U-18461. The Commission issued an order in both cases on July 7th, 2022, directing interested parties to file comments by September 12th, 2022, and reply comments by October 3rd. As part of this process, the Commission also held 2 public hearings to receive public comments. The first was held on Thursday, September 8th, 2022 in Lansing, Michigan. The second was held on Wednesday, September 21st, 2022 in Marquette, Michigan. The Commission has considered the comments and reply comments and has incorporated several changes. The orders before you approve the updated Michigan Integrated Resource Planning parameters, the DR and EWR potential studies completed in 2021, and the updated Integrated Resource Plan filing requirements. These updates were the result of comprehensive stakeholder collaboration and focus on the continued development of integrated resource planning. These updated requirements take into account both the changing electric utility landscape and provide the necessary information to aid the Commission in its determination of future integrated resource plans. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dukuman. I move for the approval of the order in case number U-18461.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion?
I do have brief comments to make on both this order as well as the order in U-21219. I imagine my other commissioners can attest to the fact that when we are speaking with our fellow PUC colleagues nationally, many remark and on occasion are even envious of our state's statutorily created integrated resource planning process. The process that thereby grants the Commission the authority to ensure residents have access to safe and reliable energy services through our review and approval of the short and long-range plans for how our regulated electric utilities plan to meet the energy needs of their customers. This statutory process also allows for the Commission, through the input and comments from the public, to iteratively approve or improve upon this review and approval process. And through the many hours and countless hours of commitment and diligence from our staff and participation from numerous stakeholders, the updated filing requirements and planning parameters for our approval today allow us to more acutely assess the rapidly emerging trends that are confronting not only our state, but our region's energy system, including the acceleration of climate change, the increased focus on energy equity and environmental justice, and the further development of private and public decarbonization goals, and the heightened importance of resource adequacy and generation diversity. So I again sincerely thank our staff as well as the many stakeholders who participated in this process. I again can assure you that there were many hours of work that were put into the finalizing of the updated filing requirements and planning parameters, and just thank all of those who participated in that process, and thank you all as well for your assistance in getting this to the finish line.
Thank you, Commissioner Phillips. Are there additional comments?
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Commissioner Phillips. I appreciate those comments. And I'd like to offer sincere thanks to all of our staff who worked both on the MIRPP and the filing requirements. This has been a very intense and long process, as Commissioner Phillips just described. And our staff has really been particularly expertly shepherded by Naomi Simpson in the audience here, all the way back from the phase 2 work that set us up for these phase 3 results. So this is hugely important work for the state of Michigan. The integrated resource plans get to the heart of the future of energy for our state, planning long-range forecasts for reliable electric generation over the next 20 years. And they impact almost everything from resiliency, affordability, equity, environmental impact, and resource mix. And I appreciate all the input that we've received from our stakeholders and that we've incorporated as a part of this process as well. So I'm thrilled to be in the place today where we're able to vote on these final planning parameters and filing requirements, because it is critically important that we have an effective planning and filing process to set ourselves up for success in the future of Michigan's energy landscape.
Thank you, Commissioner Peretick. We will now have a vote on the motion to approve the order. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by unanimous vote. The order in case number U-18461 is approved.
I move for the approval of the order in case number U-21219.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion on this? We will now have a vote on the motion to approve the order. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by unanimous vote. The order in case number U-21219 is approved. I recognize Ms. Gold.
Item 4A2 is case number U-20528, which involves an application filed by DTE Electric Company for approval to reconcile its power supply costs and revenues for 2020 metered jurisdictional sales of electricity. The order before you approves the reconciliation as amended by the order.
Thank you, Ms. Gold. I move for the approval of the order in case number U-20528.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion? We will now have a vote on the motion to approve the order. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by unanimous vote. The order in case number U-20528 is approved. I recognize Ms. Gold.
Item 4A3 is case number U-20604, which involves an application filed by Consumers Energy Company requesting ex parte approval of amended and new power purchase agreements with Vern Solar LLC et al. The order before you approves the power purchase agreements.
I move for the approval of the order in case number U-20604.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion? We will now have a vote on the motion to approve the order. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by unanimous vote. The order in case number U-20604 is approved. Ms. Gold?
Item 4A4 is also case number U-20604, which involves an application filed by Consumers Energy Company seeking ex parte approval of amended power purchase agreements between Consumers Energy Company and Allegheny Solar LLC et al. The order before you approves the amended power purchase agreements.
I move for the approval of the order in case number U-20604.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion? We will now have a vote on the motion to approve the order. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by a unanimous vote. The order in case number U-20604 is approved. I recognize Ms. Gold.
Item 4A5 is case number U-20851, which involves an application filed by DTE Electric Company for ex parte approval of 2 master supply agreements and 2 engineering, procurement, and construction contracts. The order before you approves the application.
I move for the approval of the order in case number U-20851.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion? We will now have a vote on the motion to approve the order. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by unanimous vote. The order in case number U-20851 is approved. I recognize Ms. Gold.
Item 4A7 is case numbers U-21250 et al., which involves a matter on the Commission's own motion initiating an action to require Spartan Renewable Energy, Inc. to show cause why it should not be found in violation of MCL 460.6W subsection 8. Case number U-21099 is a docket open for the purpose of receiving capacity demonstration filings for the 2025-2026 planning year. The order before you finds Spartan Renewable Energy, Inc.'s capacity demonstration filed in case number U-21099 to be deficient and directs Cloverland Electric Cooperative to supplement its capacity demonstration filed in case number U-21099 within 30 days of the date of this order.
I move for the approval of the order in case numbers U-21250 et al.
I second the motion.
Before we vote on this, just a few notes. First, under Michigan statutory changes that were adopted in 2016 and created this capacity demonstration process, as well as the orders the Commission has issued going back to 2017 implementing the law, the regulatory framework followed by the Commission under these capacity demonstrations requires a finding that Spartan's capacity demonstration is deficient. This finding, however, it simply conforms to the statutory framework embodied in 6W in the Commission's orders, and the Commission is not persuaded that the state reliability mechanism charge should be automatically imposed upon the finding of deficiency. Rather, as we note in the order before us, the Commission finds merit in the approved process of commencing show cause proceedings, and as this case so aptly illustrates, the show cause process allows for a case-by-case determination regarding the finding of deficiency, the assessment of the SRM charge, and the allocation and timing of the SRM charge. The Commission does not currently find it necessary to rule on the remaining issues in a case where those rulings are unlikely to be carried out, as the record contains references to the fact that Cloverland and the customer are in negotiations, Cloverland Electric Cooperative. And as such, the Commission finds it prudent to require Cloverland to supplement its most recent capacity demonstration within 30 days of the date of this order. If there are additional issues after that filing, the Commission will revisit this order and issue an additional order on December 9th, 2022, resolving any outstanding issues. Is there any additional discussion? We will now have a vote on the motion to approve the order. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by unanimous vote. The order in case number U-21250 et al. Is approved. I recognize Ms. Gold.
Item 4A8 is case number U-21283, which involves an application by Consumers Energy Company requesting Commission approval of a one-time voluntary gain sharing with the company's customers and authorization to implement accounting procedures as set forth in the application, consistent with the gain sharing. The order before you approves the company's gain sharing proposal and accounting entries.
I move for the approval of the order in case number U-21283.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion? We will now have a vote on the motion to approve the order. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by unanimous vote. The order in case number U-21283 is approved. I recognize Ms. Gold.
Item 4B1 is case number U-20816, which involves an application filed by DTE Gas Company seeking approval of its gas cost recovery plan for the 12 months ending March 31st, 2022. The order before you approves the application and accepts the 5-year forecast.
I move for the approval of the order in case number U-20816.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion? We will now have a vote on the motion to approve the order. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by unanimous vote. The order in case number U-20816 is approved. I recognize Ms. Gold.
Item 4B2 is case number U-21170, which involves the establishment on the Commission's own motion of a renewable natural gas study work group and work plan to comply with provisions of Public Act 87 of 2021 and sets the dates for the filing of the draft report and submission of the final report. Staff member Virginia Halloran will describe this order.
Good afternoon, Chairman Scripps, Commissioner Phillips, and Commissioner Peretick. My name is Virginia Halloran, and I work as a Public Utilities Engineer in the Gas Safety and Operations Division of the Michigan Public Service Commission. On December 9, 2021, the Commission, on its own motion, opened the docket and issued an order in case number U-21170, directing staff to develop a renewable natural gas study at the legislative direction of Public Act 87 of 2021. Public Act 87 stated the purpose of the study was to analyze the use of renewable natural gas development in the state of Michigan. In addition, Public Act 87 also required engagement with stakeholders throughout the process, a draft report to be circulated to interested stakeholders by July 30th, 2022, and the final report submitted to the legislature by September 30th, 2022. The Commission hired a third-party consultant, ICF Resources, to work with staff to meet the purpose set forth by Public Act 87. In order to engage stakeholders, staff identified interested stakeholders and developed an email listserv group, which was used to invite them to participate in stakeholder meetings. The listserv messages also provided updates on the progress of the report, circulated stakeholder meeting details, and requested a stakeholder review of draft report documents. Stakeholder comments throughout the process, especially after each stakeholder meeting, were encouraged and incorporated where possible into the report. In addition, staff also developed a website where the draft report documents, meeting information, and public comments were posted. On January 10th, 2022, to meet the requirement for stakeholder engagement, a stakeholder meeting was held to gather input on the scope and study timeline. In March of 2022, the Commission sought input from stakeholders regarding existing greenhouse gas emission reduction studies, especially those that quantify greenhouse gas abatement costs of comparable technologies. On April 20th, 2022, a second stakeholder meeting was held to discuss the inputs, assumptions, and methodologies. And lastly, on June 29, 2022, a third stakeholder meeting was held to gather feedback from stakeholders on the draft report, which was circulated for public review prior to this meeting. On September 23rd, 2022, staff sent the final renewable natural gas study report via email to the legislature, and on September 28th was filed to the docket. The study concluded that capturing renewable natural gas from existing waste streams can help reduce greenhouse gas emissions that contribute to climate change, particularly if it is derived from sources that create methane emissions otherwise released into the atmosphere. The order before you accepts the final version of this report and its issuance to the legislature and the public. The order also closes case number U-21170 at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Halloran. I move for the approval of the order in case number U-21170.
I second the motion.
And again, before we vote on this, just a few comments. I want to first thank our consultant ICF on this, the many stakeholders who participated, as well as our staff, and particularly Ms. Halloran. There was a lot of work that was put into this on a tight legislative time frame, and appreciate what I think is a really important report that ultimately came out of this legislative directive. I think it gives us more information and also gives more information to the legislature, to the public, and to our stakeholders as we consider how best to manage the ongoing energy transition, and gives us one more tool in the toolbox to think about as we look at the resources that may assist in that. So again, thanks for all who were involved in this, and excited to have this filed and returned to the legislature. Is there any additional discussion? We'll now have a vote on the motion to approve the order. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by unanimous vote. The order in case number U-21170 is approved. We've now reached the time reserved for members of the public to address the commission. As mentioned in the notice for today's meeting, we will take public comments in the following order. First, individuals attending in person. Next, written comments from individuals using the Microsoft Teams live stream Q&A. Then verbal comments from individuals submitting names in the Q&A feature and who have called into the meeting. And finally, from individuals participating only through the phone option. As a reminder, this public comment period is for commissioners to listen to comments and concerns and not to answer specific questions. When providing comment, please indicate your name and where you live if you are willing to share so that we have that for our records. And please limit comments to one per person and keep them brief so that we have a chance to hear from all who would like to comment. If anyone attending in person desires to address the commission, please come up to the podium and use the microphone. Hello.
I have something to give you.
Okay. Yes.
Do I need to give it to you?
We don't usually get gifts.
Yes, it just works. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me okay?
I can,
We
yeah.
can.
Okay. My name is Edith Lee Payne. I think I saw you all on August 22nd when you were in Detroit. I was hoping to get back with you, or you to get back with me, but I guess you all are busier in the White House. I could get in touch with them and they could get back. I have presented you a folder. I shared with you some concerns that we have in not just Detroit, and the entire service territory of DTE Energy with regard to power outages, inadequate vegetation management. But for me personally, what you're looking at, the first page is what I have been enduring for 7,525 days, which is since February 2nd of 2002, when a branch fell on a wire. Now, while it's a service drop, it was a branch that I had no control over, but it caused over $5,000 in damages. DTE argues that they're not responsible for service drops, but in certain communities like Royal Oak, there are no easements or alleys. So directly from the pole, there's a service drop that goes to a house, and there's a lot of vegetation all in between there. So a homeowner cannot be responsible for keeping their service drops clear. Also, I just included with what I've handed you the trouble call from DTE and what the costs were. And then during that time period, I contacted DTE because the person that had to cut that tree cautioned me about trees that were actually in an easement where they are required to maintain. Well, as you see the next picture, my house caught fire. And here's included with that is the fire report from the fire department, the acknowledgement from DTE. But as you can see, the next picture is the base of the tree that's right next to the pole. So the picture that you're looking at is kind of hard to read, but the pole is at the top of the page. That's the utility pole. That's the electric pole. The base of the tree, where you see that brown part, that's where the base of the tree came from. It was dead. It was an ailanthus. It was dead. So obviously there was a pole next to it and so on and so forth. Well, they specifically say, as does the Michigan Public Service Commission, that the utilities are responsible for pole-to-pole lines. This couldn't have been any more closer to the pole nor between. And you see it crosses the easement, and the next picture shows it on the garage. Well, for some reason, DTE didn't want to acknowledge it, but neither did the Michigan Public Service Commission, neither did the district court. It was totally disregarded. The next picture you see is from my porch, and dead trees, also in the easement, that also fell in my yard and in the yard next door, which you can see in that picture. When I spoke with you on the 22nd, I mentioned to you that I lost 3 houses and have had 2 house fires. You see the second house fire here. What I've learned since I saw you was that DTE was responsible for that one too, because while I was trying to have the house repaired, the electrician noticed a power surge, which is what I heard before the fire started. But this meter that you see following all of the fire reports, this meter that you see, or the box that holds the meter, the power surge, that the connection from the triplex or service drop, that the wires that come in, feed in from the top of the pole into the meter, there's a power surge that you can see, that burnt mark on the next photograph. I have no more houses to lose. And I need this body, because they didn't do anything in 2003 or the staff, to make this utility accountable. And it's your responsibility to ensure, which means guarantee, the safe, reliable service. I included another page from DTE's attorney while I was in court. You saw the picture, but she describes that tree as being thrown 9 to 10 feet. It wasn't thrown anywhere, but the court ignored it, so did the administrative law judge. We can't have this. This is why we remain unsafe. There's another letter that you have that from the Michigan Public Service Commission. It says that the utilities are supposed to follow line clearance, which they have a program for, 603505, industry recognized, all of that. So when you tell me all of these things, and that the company knows how to directionally prune, they do it on line clearance cycles, they know the species, then we would not have all the power outages that we have, which you see their own record of power outages from 1976 to 2014, but we know what we had last year was over 800,000. The year before, it was over 800,000. Florida just had 2 million power outages, and 1 million of them were restored within a couple of days. So I'm saying all this to say this cannot go on. This cannot continue. I've included a letter that I sent to Michael Chris, who was the director, because I mentioned this to you, Commissioner Paratic, about them charging me. You see I have late fees, or my tenant was charged late fees, $36, $39, $42, and the bill was only, in one case they charged $49.10, the bill was only $53. It's only supposed to be 2%, it's not supposed to be compounded, and I sent that letter. I also gave you a copy of everybody that received a copy of the letter, and they've done nothing. And the reason, and you have all the bills as well, the reason that they do nothing is because they're allowed to get away with everything. And at some point that has to stop. But I have been trying to meet with you since you had your conference. I have gone through my Senator Moss, to have a conversation, but the staff said you are not allowed to speak with people. And I just also find that unacceptable, because I work with people across the United States that deal with utility vegetation management, and one is on the call. I'm not sure if he's going to say anything, but we can't continue to be unsafe. Every member of my family, I've got tons of pictures. If I brought those, I would need a semi so you could see them, but trust me, I do have them. And the rest of this is just what you already know. It's Public Act 3, 1939, that addresses everything that the utility companies are supposed to do to keep us safe in detail, but it's also your responsibility to enforce it. And I need your help. I don't want any other excuses. Like I said, I have no more houses to lose. I need to meet with you. This needs to be rectified. I see Jerry Northfield was here earlier today. I want to have a conversation with him. This needs to end. We've lost too many children. I shared that with you, Commissioner Scripps, of children touching down power lines and a family during a power outage, because that's also unsafe. Power surges can occur, and house fires, and people die. Whether you have families or not, I'm sure you know people, and you wouldn't want that to happen to them. I don't want it to happen to them. So I need you to do something, but I need you to do it now. I'm not going to be put off anymore. I can't afford it. I can't.
Thank you, Ms. Payne.
Thank you.
Are there others attending in person who would like to address the commission at this time? Okay, we will turn to public comments through the remote options. Again, if you would like to make a comment and have access to the Teams live stream Q&A feature on your computer, please enter your name and your comment, which will then be read aloud. This feature is available on the right-hand side of the control bar next to the mute button. As a reminder, the Q&A feature is intended for public comments directed to the commission and not to engage with other participants or respond to their comments. After taking any comments through this feature, we will open up the phone line for those who called into the meeting and would like to address the commission verbally. If you want to be queued up for verbal comments, please enter your name in the live stream Q&A feature and indicate that you wish to make a verbal comment. But please do not include your written comment, as this will avoid duplication. I will first call on these names in the order received, and after hearing from those individuals listed in the Q&A, we will ask if there are any comments from individuals who are on the phone line but not utilizing the online Q&A feature. Ms. Cole, I believe that you're again ably helping us with this part. Are there written comments that have been entered through the Teams live stream Q&A feature?
There are no written comments entered in the Q&A feature at this time. We do have one request for a verbal comment from Professor Lawrence Kahn.
Excellent. Professor Kahn, if you're able to unmute your phone, I'd love to hear from you.
Thank you, commissioners. Are you able to hear me?
We are, yes.
Okay, thank you. I wanted to take an opportunity to introduce myself and the program that I have started at Tulane Law School in New Orleans. We have started a program called the Utility Vegetation Management Initiative, and the purpose of this program is to engage in the study of the law, policy, and practices behind the management of vegetation for utility purposes. I believe it fits directly within one of the major areas that this commission has been constituted to oversee. And our purpose is to study this in an academic and disinterested way in order to provide benefit to government, the utility industry, to non-governmental actors and advocates, and to others who are impacted by the conflicts that arise between vegetation and utilities. And in this regard, it's been brought to my attention by Ms. Payne, who spoke recently to the commission, as well as others, that Michigan and the surrounding area has been impacted severely by power outages over the last several years and by fires as well, and that a large proportion of these are coming from conflicts between utilities and trees, and that this is a concerning matter for the public as well as for government because of the enormous losses to human life, to business, to tax revenue, to property. And I wanted to make it clear that while the impacts that have been felt throughout Michigan are significant and severe, they're also regrettably not uncommon. They're being felt throughout the country and worldwide as a result of climate change, but also as a result of practices in utility vegetation management that I believe could be better addressed through a variety of different approaches, which would include utilization of advanced technologies that is not currently being done in either Michigan or the vast majority of states in the United States, by engaging in practices that could make vegetation management more efficient and more effective through better policies and practices that have not yet been engaged, even though they're known, and many of which have been demonstrated as effective in other parts of the country, and through perhaps some deeper thought and discussion as to potential law, policy, and regulation changes that may be worth considering in order to make lives better for the population. I think that this is an important area to explore sooner rather than later, because one thing that has been made clear by this past summer's brownouts throughout the country, as well as through official proclamations from the utility industry generally, specific utilities in particular, and by the White House, among others, is that even though we have successfully built over the last 100 years a utility infrastructure that was meant to last 100 years, we're now at the end of that useful life, and we need to plan for the next 100 years. And that is going to require an improvement in the infrastructure system and in its grid. And in order to be able to do that, there will necessarily be an impact on the vegetation that surrounds and is involved in the grid area. And the only way to do that is to do that thoughtfully and to make sure that we are appropriately addressing the needs of not only people and the industry and government, but also of wildlife and archaeological and historical and cultural areas that will be impacted because they are in the pathway of where the infrastructure needs to go, and to look creatively at engineering and technology matters that could successfully be deployed. And I would invite you to reach out to me to discuss this in greater detail, so that I don't unduly take up time at this open meeting, particularly with comments that perhaps you weren't anticipating today. And so I would invite you to reach out to me, and I would love to be able to perhaps have a workshop and explain the general position and a number of different things that could be done to improve vegetation management throughout Michigan. And I'll add to that I am working with other state utility commissions, and hope to also be able to speak with all of you in New Orleans at the NARUC meeting in a few weeks that will deal with the subject of disruptive technologies that could improve practices in the utility industry. I'm happy to take any questions you may have of me, but understanding that that's probably not the format, I'm happy to end my comment here, and we'll let you know that I can be reached by email at LKAHN4, that's the number 4, at tulane.edu. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Khan. I appreciate you calling into the meeting. Are there others on the, and I'll follow up offline. I would love to sort of get more information on the Utility Vegetation Management Initiative. Are there others who have called into the meeting who would like to provide public comment at this time? Okay, a few announcements before we close. First, we have a pair of energy assistance fairs coming up. These are great opportunities to understand the assistance programs offered through the Commission and our partners, and also to get information from utility providers and community partners in terms of available energy assistance programs, payment plans, and also to connect with local organizations providing energy assistance and to sign up for financial assistance on site for those who need it. The first of these is happening on Thursday, November 10, from 4 to 7 p.m. at the West Michigan Works office in Grand Rapids. That's 215 Strait Avenue Northwest in Grand Rapids. And then a week later, we'll be downriver in Melvindale on Thursday, November 17th from 4 to 7 p.m. at the Kessie Field House in Melvindale. There's more information available on our website and more that will be coming out in the next couple of days in advance of these energy assistance fairs. These listening sessions are part of the Commission's Energy Affordability and Accessibility Collaborative. The EAAC was launched in response to the COVID-19 pandemic, with the Commission directing our staff to convene the EAAC as a means to seek broad and diverse input from residents, nonprofits, utilities, and state agencies to address the affordability of energy, access to low-income energy assistance, customer protections, and low-income energy waste reduction services. So a great deal of information provided in these, and we hope that the public is able to attend. The only other announcement that I'd have, just because it's Michigan State Week, and I think I speak for a majority, but maybe not a consensus of the Commission, and certainly not a majority of our staff, is Go Blue. Are there other comments before we close out today?
Just keep it under 70 points, please.
A couple things, actually. Thank you. I'd just like to note that there's a public meeting on the bipartisan infrastructure law, preventing outages and enhancing the resilience of the electric grid grant, hosted by the Department of Environment, Great Lakes and Energy, the State Energy Program, on November 10th at 1 p.m. and invite the public to join that and provide comments on that program. And I'd also just like to continue the recognition that October is National Disability Employment Awareness Month, which is devoted to recognizing and celebrating the many contributions of America's workers with disabilities throughout history, and showcases supportive, inclusive employment policies and practices for a diverse workforce.
Thank you for both of those announcements, Commissioner Barrett.
And Go Blue.
And for that one as well. That concludes today's meeting. The next regular Commission meeting is scheduled for Friday, November 18th, 2022 at 1 o'clock p.m. Is there a motion to adjourn, Commissioner Phillips?
I motion to adjourn today's Commission meeting. Go Green.
Second motion.
We will now have a vote on the motion to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by unanimous vote. The meeting is adjourned. Thanks, everybody.